Hi guys, my name is Richard Grossi and I'm an ontological coach. I live in South Africa, so I coach over business, life recovery, addiction recovery, and leadership. And I'm here with my friend Elle, who's in the UK. Elle, do you want to say how's it?
Hey Rich, good to see you. Yeah, I'm Ali Gordon of Ali Gordon Coaching. I'm a high performance and leadership coach based over in North London.
Awesome. So, guys, what Elle and I have decided to do is we are both coaches and we've been coaching for a number of years. And we decided as a part of how we could give back was to start these coaching sessions, which we had put online for people to view whenever they needed to. And we thought we would tackle some really important topics that seem to make their way through our coaching practice and through us in everyday life, because a lot of people expect coaches to just be fine. No, absolutely everything, and live this wonderful.
Half the time, I think.
100% superhumans, and we're anything but. So we thought we would love to tackle some problems and share our insights with you. So Elle's got a brilliant topic, which I'm going to let him introduce this week. And I just wanted to tell you before he jumps in, guys, we're going to be doing this on a weekly basis. So if you would like to subscribe to our channel, please do. And please check in with us on a weekly basis for more interesting topics. And please engage with us on the comment section. Okay, Elle, over to you to introduce the topic.
Cheers, Rich. Well, this topic was prompted by a quote I read by Mark Twain, and we've talked around this sort of subject quite a lot of times in our sort of off-camera conversations. And it's the quote: "Comparison is the death of joy." And it's a Mark Twain, many famous quotes. But it's really caught me actually, because I really fundamentally believe that. I think comparison is sometimes good. I think it's something that can drive us forward. If that person over there can be doing it, why can't I? But more often than not, it can lead to us comparing ourselves in quite a negative way. And you see a lot of that on social media. You see that with people comparing themselves against their friends. And it can really lead to some quite negative thoughts. And I often have clients to kind of, oh, well, they must be doing better and whatever. And my belief is, I mentioned this to you a few times, I believe, and my belief is that people are like icebergs. You never really know what's going on below. The top may look fantastic. They may look as though they have it all together, but really you're comparing yourself to not the full picture. And often below the surface, like us all, we're working at stuff. It's not quite as rosy as you think it is. And I just love to get your thoughts on it, Rich. I know we've discussed a lot.
Yeah, no, I love the topic. And it is something that I must say, in my early years, my teenage years and 20s and 30s, I felt very much victim to this all the time. And I have such a wonderful personal experience of this. So for those who don't know, if you haven't read up on who I am as yet, I am in addiction recovery, and I spent 17 years as a really hardcore cocaine addict. And what I would do is I would go first thing in the morning, I'd run off to my dealer, I'd go and score. And although I was a successful business strategist, I used to work remotely. So I would head off straight to a bar and I would work from there. Not the ideal situation.
Perfect for a cocaine addict, of course.
And that's what I did. And thank goodness I was very good at strategy. So I kept my job. But the point that I'm trying to illustrate is that in the time period that I used to be at that bar, and I mean, I'm talking about 6-7 years that I used to go and do this. And if I had to go into the office, I'd run off there straight after work, stay there until all night. And I'd often write because I'm really passionate about writing. So I'd sit and I'd write after work, etc., and write in journals. And in doing this, I'd observe so many people walking in the bar, out the bar, sitting at the bar, having these conversations. And it was in a very, very upmarket hotel, this bar. It's down the road from where I live. And many people would pitch up in their Porsches, their Ferraris, etc., smartly dressed, beautiful girls, amazing looking men, smart, accomplished. And then you'll get your other side, just the people that would typically be there on a daily basis, like myself. However, what I would do is while I was writing, I'm a keen observer. I am a strategist after all. So I would observe these people. And in my journals, all I would ever write was, I wish I. And it was always looking at other people around the bar who I looked at and thought, wow, you've got it all. You're gorgeous. You're successful. You're sitting here with a group of mates. You're having a couple of drinks, laughing. And so this went on for many years. And eventually, you know, people were kind of looking at me thinking, okay, there's that crazy kid at the end of the bar. We've got to get that guy out. But they eventually came over and they would start talking to me like, hey, what are you writing about? You know, are you writing about me? Because you know how self-conscious people are. And I was like, yeah, actually, here I am. You know, and we'd start this discussion, and some of them became my mates, you know, over a period of time. And it was so groundbreaking for me was when many of the people that I would think were incredibly successful, and I would say, if only I had their life, if only I could be like them, when they started to tell me, like your analogy with the iceberg, when they started to tell me actually what was going on in their life, I mean, it completely blew this whole image of what I thought, you know, out of the water. Some of the most beautiful women that I would write about and think, you know, she has got everything made, would come to me and say, you know, I have to go home to a husband who beats me up. I've got to go home to kids who don't love me. I'm an alcoholic, or I'm suffering terribly with bulimia or depression. The guys would come over and they would just be broken. My wife is having an affair. And so they would just divulge all this information over to me and over this period of time. And I started to realize that all the people and all the things that I wished I had, I was so grateful that I didn't, because it really showed me that, you know, what I had to be so grateful for and value. And what I thought of, my assessments of other people in the world, were just the vain imaginings I had in my own mind. And I'd spent so many years wishing I was somebody else aside of myself, to only find out that below the top of that iceberg, actually there was nothing. It was just randomly floating on the air. And I find, you know, I'm also a lecturer. So I lecture in honors programs in universities. And I have a lot of students who come up with massive anxiety disorders. And when we get to the root of it, it's either they're comparing themselves to what they picture success should be, or an ideal of beauty that they're not meeting. And so we as humans do tend to fall into this churning of comparisons. And it can be a very, very dangerous segment to be trapped in. And that's kind of my personal experience.
And how's it showing up now, Rich? I mean, now that you kind of know those things in terms of people, do you still get that moment where you think, oh, wow, they're amazing? Or do you take a pause and review?
Good question. Really good question. You know what? At the end of the day, I'll be humans. We are human beings, you know, and we're just having a human experience. That's what we do. We're human becomings, really, more so than human beings. Mm-hmm. And so it's strange that you say that, and I'd hate to admit it since I'm the big time coach. But I found myself actually doing this yesterday. I did. I was driving home, and a couple walked past, and I was like, shit. Great, Rich, another year alone, you know, wonderful. They've got everything. Why? And as I drove into my apartment, I just thought to myself, you know what, Richard, there are thousands of people around the world today in this COVID situation that are going to be evicted at the end of the month. You have a house, be grateful. And it's about a matter of grounding. What do we have? Let's focus on ourselves and stop focusing so much on everybody else. Because when we focus on everybody else, we lose the true beauty and the power that we have as individuals and how we can construct our lives. We have incredible power if we don't keep on giving it away to fruitless, vain attempts of wanting to be someone else aside of me. And you, I mean, like, tell me about yourself.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, I think we're all guilty of it at times. You know, I'm certainly better at it now. You know, I kind of looked at it and I realized how negative it is. And actually, what I realized, Rich, as well, is that what happens is when you're comparing, you end up taking on other people's values, other people's purpose. Yeah. And you're uncomfortable. You're not really enjoying life because actually you're trying to live someone else's life. And we all have different values and different ways that we want to live our lives. And if we're constantly sort of taking on other people's values and comparing ourselves and wanting those things, do we really want those things? You know, when you really look at it, do we Half the time we don't. And you're right. You look at a couple walking past you and thinking, oh God, I'm alone. But you don't know what the relationship that couple's having.
Exactly. 100%.
You just don't know. So
100%.
I think it was a big wake up call for me. That's why I wanted to talk about today. And I think that's why it resonated, because I think that when you live in comparison, I think you covered it really, really beautifully, actually. When you live in comparison, you're just not really living your life. You're trying to live someone else's, and you just don't know what your life is like. And I think when you stop doing that and getting much more comfortable and actually, falling in love with the person you really need to fall in love with, which is yourself, of course.
Sure.
That's when the comparison starts to drift away. And I think we're also in a very privileged position, of course. We talk to lots of various individuals. I talked to quite a few sort of high net worth type of individuals and business owners. They've all got lots of stuff going on. We've all got lots of stuff going
100%.
on. So it's easier for me to not compare, really. And I think when I did start doing it, I really started enjoying my own life and really worked out my own values and really worked out my own purpose. So and I think the damage it can do, you can end up depressed and feeling just unworthy. And I think we've got a generation, we're a bit older than the current generation, but I think this generation it's constantly being bombarded with images of the way you should be, apparently.
Yeah.
And again, that's not true. It's just
No, it's one thing. Like, I mean, you said it in the very beginning. I think it's a valid point. It's one thing to be inspired by people.
There we go.
And inspiration is a wonderful thing. Yeah. It is. I'm inspired by facets of people. I'm not inspired by a person. Otherwise, it can become kind of like idolatry in a way. I need to be like you, or da da da. And that's not true, as you say. I mean, also some of the people that I coach are also very, very high net worth and very prominent. And a lot of people want to be like them, but we don't really know. So I take inspiration, 5% here, 10% there. And they inspire me in different avenues of my life, not in terms of take me as an individual and make me like you, and another point that you picked up there on Al is, many people compare themselves to these images we see of celebrities, etc., on Instagram or whatever it might be, with the perfect body or the perfect partner or the perfect job or on a yacht on this overseas vacation. And we start focusing on lack, what I lack versus what you have. And when we focus on lack, we will start to manifest lack, because our minds will always search for more meaning. So when people talk about intrusive thoughts and why are intrusive thoughts there and why do they start bombarding me? And this could happen with comparison very quickly. We'll like, I just gave you the example of, I'm alone. Very quickly, that can escalate. I'm alone and, cheapest. Why don't I have X amount of clients? Why isn't this happening? Why isn't my social media profile? I'm a failure. And that's not actually true. So it's a very slippery slope. And it's important for us to understand that what other people have doesn't mean that we lack it. It means that we have something in a different direction. And as you say, loving yourself, it's a very large topic. And a lot of my clients come in like, I want to start this journey of loving myself. Big question mark. Absolutely. This is why there are thousands and thousands of books on self-love. And at the end of the day, it's like, well, I'm no fucking way closer to the beginning than I was. What do I do? And at the end of the day, I think stop with the comparison. Stop focusing outside of yourself. Don't worry about what do I need to do to love myself. Just stop. When your head is not full of comparison, it means you are able to absorb something else. Not lack, but what is abundance? What is fruitful? What is in your life? What do you have? And that is where true love starts.
I think there's something around energy as well, isn't there? When you start, because I think the other thing, of course, with comparison is that you end up either consciously or subconsciously wanting bad things to happen to those people, just to feel better. You end up putting this really negative energy out into the world. We all know the kind of people that we're attracted to in a room. We walk into a room and there's somebody that's just seems to ask you how you are genuinely, not in some throwaway way, just seems to have a great energy that really seems to care.
Yeah.
And we're very drawn to those people. And they're often the people that kind of really got comfortable with themselves. They're not comparing themselves. They know there's more beautiful people out there. They know there's, you know, richer people, there's more successful. But they've got comfortable with in their own skin, and they're just giving out a great energy. They want good things to happen to other people. And I think even just starting there is a great place to start, because
absolutely,
I'm a great believer in the energy you put out is the energy you get back in. You know, if you're willing to kind of give to other people and support them in their journey, or just ask a few questions which are meaningful, which actually mean something, rather than just throw it, how are you? And then let's just move on. I just think it makes a massive difference. And I think just even if you are struggling with just comparing, just think about the energy you're putting out there. Stop wishing bad things happen to other people so you feel better. Start putting great energy out there. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. And you know what? Also, what's coming out strongly for me is, you know, it's so important, which I tell my clients all the time. And guys, if you're listening, please just believe me on this one, is that the voice inside our minds, the voice that comes on continuously comparing yourself to X, Y, and Z, those are just assessments that you are making. And 99% of those assessments are not true. And the crazy thing is, the voice we trust the most is our own, and it is also the voice that lies to us the most. So don't think there's anything abnormal with you, or that's wrong, or you need to go under psychiatric evaluation if you're falling into this category. It is absolutely normal. And it's not like Elle and I have become gurus or masters in this area. All we've done is recognized it and been like, we understand that this is happening. We understand it breeds a lack. What can we do? Well, we don't need to suddenly go from zero to hero. Let's just stop. Let's be at peace. Let's just enjoy. Let's look at ourselves and allow that energy that we are giving out to other people. We don't have to like go in masses, give it to ourselves. Let's just retain it. You know, just retain it. Be calm about it. This isn't a kind of a journey from 0 to 100 in a second. It is a process. As I said in the beginning, we are human becomings. We're having a human experience. And the whole beauty of these coaching sessions that Elle and I are doing is that we are hoping to guide you along this journey as we go ourselves walk along it, and share with you the insights that we've picked up as common themes amongst our clients and ourselves, and the experience that we've had. We would love to share it with you. So I'm just wondering, what could be a takeout for the listeners that you would like to put out there on comparisons that they can go away with and play around with for until next week?
I just think what we talked about, Rich, really is that the information that you're getting about people is not the full information. You know, the iceberg analogy, I think, is very key. I always remember that. I think that's incredibly key. And I also think, just remembering that quote, comparison is the depth of joy. I mean, it just says everything you need to know. It's just going to kill your happiness, because you're going to be constantly comparing. It's just going to kill your happiness. How about yourself, Rich?
Well, you know, I mean, naturally, I've got more than one, of course. I can't. One thing that I'd like to state, guys, I'd like you to imagine yourself on your deathbed. I really would. As macabre as it sounds, I would. And I'd like you to think, on your deathbed, if you are going to stop and look back at your life and think, I'm so glad I spent it wishing I was somebody else. I'm so glad I compared it to whomever, to that body that I had, and looking down at your body at this stage, ready to go on. I mean, do you honestly want that to be your own personal legacy? Remember one thing, and the one thing that I said, you're a human becoming on a human experience. You're having a journey. And number two, one of the most important things is that the voices that you are so accustomed to trusting your own are the voices that will lie to you the most. Remember, assessments are not the truth. They are stories. Don't get lost in your own, and don't give out that energy. Allow it to just retain in yourself. And guys, thank you so much for joining us this week. It was an awesome topic. Thanks for introducing it, Al. As I said, we will be here every week discussing new topics on our YouTube channel. Please subscribe and click the bell for any notifications. And guys, what Al and I would love for you to do is that if you have anything that you'd like to discuss or any topic that you would like us to cover in the future, please bomb it in the comments. At the end of the day, this channel is really for us to enable you to have some ability to self-coach and for us to give back and just to empower people. And it's such a pleasure for us to be here with you, and we'd love to see more of you. And hopefully in the future, we're going to be doing live sessions where we can interact with you one-on-one. So guys, if you would like to get hold of me on my personal capacity, my web address is www.oio24.com. And I'm also on social media and Facebook, LinkedIn, etc. I'd love to hear from you, and thank you very much for listening to First Video Blog. And Al, would you like to say where we can get hold of you?
Like you, Rich, all those on social media, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Google Business. And my website is www.aligordoncoaching.com.
Awesome. Nice. Well, guys, thanks again for tuning in and looking very forward to episode 2 and to spending some more time with you. Thanks, Al. Until next week then. Cheers.
Enjoy the sunshine. Cheers. Bye-bye.